Tonight, a man vanishes in an SA National Park. His car found bogged nearby. 9 News is at the scene of the major search operation.
A second drug supply charge reinstated as former Liberal leader David Spears faces court.
Cyclone Alfred scuttles opening round. Both Queensland matches postponed. We're live to the season launch for the latest.
Donald Trump halts military aid to Ukraine. The PM saying he's open to sending Australian troops into the war zone.
And help from on high. The big boost to South Australia's aerial emergency services fleet.
This is Adelaide's 9 News with Kate Collins and Brenton Ragless.
Good evening. A desperate and gruelling search operation is tonight underway in a remote conservation park in the state's southeast.
Search crews hoping to find a man last seen asking for directions on Sunday. His car then found bogged, and there's been no trace of him since.
Set upon the edge of the Narcat Conservation Park, this search team is undertaking a mammoth task, trekking through thick scrub in hot conditions for any trace of missing man Stephen Bailey.
We've got really thick, dense scrub sitting on a sea of sand.
Stephen, who is from Maipalonga, was last seen on Sunday morning in this remote area, which is on the western edge of the conservation park, around 20 kilometres from the southeast town of Keith. Police say Stephen stopped his car, a gold-coloured sedan, and spoke to a local farmer.
He was just looking for directions at that point.
Hours later, a camper found the missing man's car bogged on a track a few hundred metres into the park.
He has left his vehicle and he has walked further into the park, and that is where we've put all our search efforts.
It's been a gruelling 2 days for the 50-strong search team, the SES on foot, assisted by police on horseback. A drone also used for an aerial view, along with the police helicopter, which last night surveyed the entire search zone using infrared thermal detection. Friends and family say they haven't heard from Stephen since Friday, and concerns are continuing to grow. Stephen wasn't carrying a mobile phone, and the conditions are dangerous and dry.
There are water points throughout the park. You're out here, you can feel these conditions. It is very hot.
Police issuing this plea a short time ago.
Ask anyone who might have seen anything, if anyone has been through the park that has seen tracks, that has seen a man walking, please call 131 444.
Here at the staging point, there is about to be a changeover of shift, and the afternoon crew will come in and continue the search for Stephen Bailey. And then once it cools off a little bit, the police helicopter will enter the search once again using its thermal radar detection to assist from above. Brenton.
Keziah Sullivan, thank you. There's been a fresh twist in the David Spears drugs case. The former opposition leader now facing an extra charge of supplying a controlled substance.
The revelation came during his second appearance in court. Mr Spears later playing down the development.
David Spears all smiles as he made his way into his second court appearance. That's despite having not one but 2 serious charges once again hanging over his head.
It's just simply an administrative matter from that point of view.
He was arrested in September. His original 2 charges of supplying a drug dropped to just 1 before his first court appearance. But today, the state's top prosecutor confirmed it's been bumped back up. The 40-year-old's lawyer asking for an extra 3 weeks to continue negotiating with prosecutors.
I just look forward to hopefully bringing this to a reasonably speedy conclusion through the process.
Police allege the crimes happened at Kingston Park on 2 occasions in August last year. The charges unrelated to these images, which emerged earlier that month and which he claims are a deep fake. If convicted, Mr Spears faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in jail, a $50,000 fine or both. Despite that, he appeared calm inside court. But on his way out, he admitted it's been a trying few months.
It's not been unstressful.
Spears is yet to enter pleas to the charges. That's expected when he returns to court at the end of the month. Beth Excel, 9 News.
An emergency drought response has been launched in the Adelaide Hills and Fleurieu regions. The state government to establish user pays collection points for off-grid households running out of water. For months, residents have been getting water carted onto their properties, and there are now some being forced to shower in sporting clubs. It comes after our driest summer in more than 30 years. The AFL has made the extraordinary decision to postpone 2 opening round matches as Cyclone Alfred heads directly towards Brisbane. Faced with a possible disaster, the league had little choice 2 days before the first bounce. Tony Jones is at the season launch at Sydney's Luna Park, and Tony, the AFL isn't taking any risks.
No, that's right. It's very much a case of risk versus reward, and you wouldn't know that they were facing a crisis today, the AFL, and having to, decide do they actually take those games off the table or not. But at the end of the day, despite the fact that it's their season launch today and everything's in a buoyant mood, the Queensland government said, look, we're going to make, you make the decision, and that's exactly what they did. And at the end of the day, when you consider that there's Brisbane players at the moment who are actually sandbagging their homes along with coaching staff and the like, well, it was simply not worth the risk. So Andrew Dillon came here today and made that decision a few hours ago.
It was a tough decision, but in the end we didn't have any alternative, and want to call out to the Players Association and the 4 clubs involved. It was just an accumulation of the information, and when the Premier got up and spoke today, with the calls that he's made there, it made it clear to us that there was no other alternative than to look at rescheduling the games.
All right, Chief Football Reporter Tom Morris joins me live now to look at the someone else providing feedback for us. But let's have a look at the fixture as it was going to be in this opening round. So you can put a line through those 2 Queensland games. What does it mean now? Because in all honesty, there could be implications for Port and the Crows.
It could easily be implications for Port and the Crows, and maybe other clubs as well. It depends when the AFL wants to slot this Gold Coast and Essendon game in. It'll be later in the year at some point, and there might need to be other games that move around to accommodate that as well. So no club is safe, to put it that way. What we do know is that Brisbane and Geelong looks highly likely to be round 3, but the AFL's got a bit to work through with the Suns in the Essendon game.
Absolutely, and of course no games could have been played in Melbourne or anywhere else for that matter, because it meant taking the players, particularly the Brisbane players, away from their families and their homes. So that's the latest from the season launch at Luna Park in Sydney, would you believe?
Tony, Tom, thank you so much. And that Cyclone Alfred, is tonight barrelling towards Australia's east coast, where 4 million people lie in its destructive path.
The superstorm is expected to make landfall on Thursday. But before it does, residents in Brisbane down to northern New South Wales are stripping supermarket shelves and scrambling to find sandbags.
After waiting for hours, a panicked scurry for sandbags.
The lady first, please. Ladies first.
Tens of thousands collected from Brisbane depots within hours in preparation for what's to come. The latest modelling shows Cyclone Alfred slamming into the coastline between Noosa and Brisbane, the most densely populated part of the state, as a Category 2 system, hitting late Thursday night, possibly Friday morning.
It is a really rare event for southeast Queensland, but it is serious and it is happening, and we want Queenslanders to be prepared.
Isolated falls of up to 700 millimetres across 3 days are possible, combining with a tidal surge, only adding to the problems.
Where we will see this impact at its greatest is on the highest tide for the day.
Councils are preparing for major flooding. On the Gold Coast, Council's worst-case scenario modelling leaves more than 6,000 homes flooded.
The worst time to make the decision to leave is when we're in the middle of the event.
250,000 sandbags are being dispatched from interstate to help, but sandbags simply won't cut it for some. Heavy machinery is mobilising in Caloundra in a last-ditch bid to save waterfront buildings.
Where we're standing now, I'm sure, is going to get water through here.
Electricity supply could be lost, potentially for days. Authorities are warning it's a race against time to protect properties from a potential tidal surge. By Thursday afternoon, it could be too late. Island residents across Moreton Bay are currently directly in the firing line.
They will be the first Queenslanders to experience this event.
I'm evacuating the island because we're working out there and it looks like we're going to lose power.
Shaken passengers from the Pacific Encounter cruise ship are happy to finally disembark after successfully docking at dawn.
Good food, good staff, but yeah, very, very sick.
Waves as large as 7 metres have been recorded off the coast. Those daring enough to enter the surf to take advantage of the rare swells coming off second best. Even one of the world's best surfers, Mick Fanning, learning the full force of cyclonic conditions. Claire Todd-Hunter, 9 News.
And we're live with Queensland reporter Claire Todd-Hunter on the ground. Claire, it's an anxious wait for residents across southeast Queensland.
It really is, Brenton. As expected, that system has actually now began to swivel around and turn towards the Queensland coast, as has been anticipated in almost all modelling. And we've actually just seen our first cyclone warning issued by the Bureau of Meteorology within the last hour. Until now, it was all cyclone watches. And what that means is that residents in that warning zone from Double Island Point all the way down to Yamba in New South Wales can expect to start feeling the impacts of Cyclone Alfred by this time tomorrow. It also has it making landfall at around 4 a.m. on Friday now, though we will be feeling those impacts throughout the night leading up to that time, making landfall just south of where I am in Redcliffe tonight, on that night. On Brisbane's north side suburbs. And we have also just heard that the Prime Minister is on his way to Brisbane, expected to touch down tonight.
Phenomenal development. Claire, take care. Thank you. A driver has been charged over a crash at Port Adelaide that's left a young scooter rider fighting for life in hospital. The victim, a 30-year-old man from Alberton, was struck by a Hyundai sedan at the intersection of Grand Junction and Commercial Roads just after 6 last night. Police say the driver of the car was a 29-year-old woman from Semaphore South. She's been charged with causing serious harm by careless use of a vehicle and will front court in April.
A man has been slashed in the face during a violent attack in the heart of the city. By chance, 2 off-duty police officers on their way home from work came across the confronting scene and sprung into action.
This is the scene Mary Carlson was confronted with from her 4th-floor apartment just before 11 last night.
I heard lots of arguing, which is not unusual, but then it escalated tons.
2 men heard arguing in Hurtle Square before one is accused of pulling a knife and brutally slashing the other in the face. Mary telling 9 News a bystander rushed to help the victim but was told he would be next if he got any closer.
Someone that seemed to be trying to help, but he was forced to lay on the ground.
2 off-duty police officers had just finished their shift when they found the victim with multiple stab wounds and tracking down the alleged offender.
A demonstration of the fact that when you're a police officer, the responsibilities that go with that sit with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Paramedics quickly treating the 41-year-old victim at the scene before rushing him to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, requiring 7 stitches in his jaw.
I am really, especially this park and this area, it's really scary.
Crime scene investigators examined the scene last night, collecting and bagging evidence, including this large kitchen knife. The 58-year-old accused attacker was arrested nearby. He's been charged with assault and faced court today. Dylan Smith, 9 News.
A lithium battery has been blamed for a fire that destroyed an expensive caravan in the state's mid-north. The Country Fire Service released this image of the blaze at Auburn this morning. The caravan, only 12 months old, and the damage bill estimated at $175,000.
Construction of a multi-million-dollar sports facility will begin in Whyalla within months as attention turns to keeping skilled workers in town. With the Whyalla Steelworks debt topping $1.3 billion, administrators are tonight busy working to stabilise the business, but warn finding a new buyer won't happen overnight.
This is where a world-class sporting facility will be built in the heart of the Steel City.
This is giving confidence to that community that we are backing them in, not only just at an industrial level and an industry level, but at a sporting and community level.
A $6 million state investment, including a new soccer pitch with lights, football oval and clubhouse, equipped with a kitchen and change rooms, aiming to attract more people to the Spencer Golf and giving Whyalla a boost while dealing with the troubles at the steelworks.
The sun is shining. Yes, we've got a fantastic future. Yeah, we're on tenterhooks because there's still a long way to go as we learn more about the operations of the steelworks.
Sport is a religion in the regions. It is what you do on the weekend, and it's giving a space and an opportunity for people to participate in sport, but most importantly, pull on your colours and be a part of a community.
Whyalla is beginning to rebuild after a chaotic 12 months. Cultivated by a failing steelworks and unpaid contractors, before the government forced the owners into administration less than 2 weeks ago. The administrators, Quarter Mentha, are right now working to stabilise the business at the steelworks, a process they say could take up to 6 weeks.
Yes, we have a timeline of how we would like things to run, but one of the things about administration is when you come in, you never know what you're going to find. And it was a lot worse than what we thought we would find.
$1.3 billion in debt, but the challenge now to repair and prepare the plant for interest from buyers at home and abroad.
It appears there hasn't been a lot of repairs and maintenance over the last 5 or 6 years.
Gus McDonald, 9 News.
In an unprecedented move, US President Donald Trump has suspended all military aid to Ukraine effective immediately. Meanwhile, here at home, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese today revealing he's open to sending peacekeeping troops to the war-torn country.
A blow-up in the Oval Office now extending to the battlefield.
The United States is pausing all U.S. military aid to Ukraine.
The Trump administration suspending crucial aid until Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky comes back to the table on peace negotiations with Russia. That's worth more than $1.6 billion in US arms and ammunition that had been in the pipeline.
Well, I just think he should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin.
And now this comment by Ukraine's president has added fuel to the fire. An agreement to end the war is still very, very far away, as Zelensky said as he left a meeting of European leaders yesterday. America will not put up with it for much longer. This guy doesn't want peace, Donald Trump posted.
If somebody doesn't want to make a deal, I think that person won't be around very long. That person will not be listened to very long because I believe that Russia wants to make a deal.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is backing Zelensky and hasn't ruled out a role in any peacekeeping mission.
Also, what they're fighting for is the international rule of law. Now, Australia stands ready to assist if a request is made, then we would give consideration to it.
In terms of whether we should have boots on the ground in Ukraine, I don't support that. I think the Europeans have that task.
Those European leaders say a coalition of the willing could be a step to ending the war.
But to succeed, this effort must also have strong US backing.
France has suggested a 1-month ceasefire leading to peace talks. A plan is to be presented to the US.
The suspension of military aid is an attempt from Donald Trump to force the Ukrainian president's hand, agree to a peace deal on America's terms, or else.
This is a real goad to Zelensky to get back over here and say he wants peace really, really bad.
Throwing money and ammunition at a terrible conflict, that is not a strategy. The only guy in town with a strategy is the President of the United States, and everybody needs to follow his lead.
The pause comes on the eve of the US president's first address to Congress since returning to office. A chance to push his case for a resolution. At the White House, Reid Butler, 9 News.
Pope Francis has suffered a major setback in his battle with double pneumonia. Europe correspondent Hannah Sinclair is at St Peter's Square in Rome. Hannah, tell us what's the latest.
Good evening, Brenton. The Vatican says Pope Francis suffered 2 episodes of acute respiratory failure caused by a significant build-up of mucus. Doctors had to perform 2 bronchoscopies to check the Pope's airway and clear it of that mucus. Now, as a result of this latest setback, the 88-year-old has had to be put back on a ventilator to help him breathe. The Pope has now spent 18 nights in hospital battling double pneumonia. He slept well again last night, and while there have been some improvements to his condition, the Vatican still isn't sharing his prognosis. Kate?
Hannah, thank you for the update. 8 new emergency aircraft will soon be added to South Australia's fleet, with hopes they could halve emergency response times. The 3 planes and 5 helicopters will come at a cost of $870 million. But police and paramedics say they'll be worth every cent.
The fastest care to the furthest corner.
More lives will be able to be saved.
The state government releasing videos of 8 new state-of-the-art aircraft set to join the state's emergency fleet. SA Police to receive 2 planes and 2 Bell 429 helicopters, seen here being used by the New York Police Department. SA Ambulance getting 1 new plane and 3 new helicopters.
For me, it's the ability to get going quicker, faster, to look after the critically ill and injured throughout South Australia.
It's hoped the aircraft will lead to better outcomes for the nearly 7,000 patients airlifted from regional SA every year. In an older aircraft like this, a trip to Wallaroo on the Yorke Peninsula would take up to an hour, but in a new aircraft it could take as little as 20 minutes.
They'll be able to get faster responses, whether that's car accidents or other medical emergencies, to get the doctors and nurses from MedStar and SAS to those patients as fast as possible.
The new fleet will be provided and operated by Toll Aviation. The state government says its contract with the company will create more than 80 local jobs across all operations.
This is one of the most significant contracts that we've entered into in providing services to South Australians.
The new fixed-wing aircraft are due to come online in November next year, but the helicopters won't take to the skies until 2027. April Cretan, 9 News.
The AFL Players Association has weighed into SA Cricket's push to host the Sheffield Shield final at Adelaide Oval. As 9 News revealed on Sunday, SACA wants to move the game from Karen Rolton Oval. But that would require our main stadium to host 2 AFL games and a 5-day cricket match within 8 days.
The idea of the sports working together to get on the best venues is what they should be doing, and I think there's give and take required at times for both. So if there's a way to make it happen, then definitely supportive. It's just got to come down to whether it's actually safe.
Premier Peter Malinowskis is also confident a compromise will be reached should South Australia lock in hosting rights.
Yeah, look, promising signs, Rennie, but we probably shouldn't get too excited just yet.
Well, they're in the box seat, but there's still a couple of games to go, so a bit to play out on that front still, Kate, no doubt. And a bit to play out on the footy front too. And the season hasn't even started, but no complaining at West Lakes. The Crows are injury-free and Fogg has got big plans. We'll hear from the star spearhead. Also, Jesse Hogan, the latest big name to be sidelined after coming off second best with a door. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The T-Birds stick with a winning formula. That's all coming up later in sport.
Thank you, Rennie. Speak to you soon. From the UK to New Zealand and even Canada.
15 new officers have today joined the beat, but this time it's here in SA. Ahead in 9 News, more on the major milestone for the force that's set to bolster our front line.
Also, an urgent car recall. Next, the popular model now a fire risk.
Plus, why Peter Dutton has declared war on work-from-home arrangements.
Peter Dutton says if he becomes Prime Minister, public servants will be banned from working from home. The opposition leader tonight being accused of stealing policies from US President Donald Trump.
Canberra in the crosshairs.
People refusing to go back to work in Canberra is not acceptable.
Peter Dutton declaring war on work-from-home arrangements, suggesting public servants in the nation's capital are slacking off by not going to the office.
That is not going to happen under a government I lead.
The COVID-19 pandemic forced many Australians to work from home. It's become an entrenched part of flexible employment arrangements.
The problem is it has become a right that is creating an inefficiency.
36% of all workers regularly work from home, according to the Bureau of Statistics, down from 40% 3 years before. By comparison, 61% of public servants regularly work from home, which is more than it was during the pandemic.
It will be an expectation of a Dutton Liberal government that all members of the Australian Public Service work from the office 5 days a week.
Absolute rubbish. This is something that works across the country and it allows people to join a public service where that opportunity might not have existed for them before.
Canberra bashing is something of a national sport, as if it's chock full of fat-cat bureaucrats, when the truth is most of them don't even live in this town. Of the 365,000 Commonwealth public servants, more than two-thirds, 255,000, are outside Canberra.
We don't have to adopt all of America's policies.
I got elected on making government better, more efficient and smaller.
The Prime Minister accusing Peter Dutton of copying Donald Trump.
What we need is Australian policy for Australian conditions, because we are unashamedly the best country on earth and we don't need to borrow off anyone else.
Andrew Probin, 9 News.
Experienced recruits from all over the world have now stepped into new uniforms with South Australia Police. More than a dozen graduated from the academy today, with hopes their unique skill sets will help address workforce shortages across the state.
Experienced officers from all over the world convinced they belong in blue.
I said to my parents, Australia's recruiting, should I go? And before I could even finish that sentence, they said, when are you going?
15 new faces graduating from the academy today, completing a 15-week transitional training program. The first group of a new international and interstate recruitment drive to attract more experienced police to South Australia.
Come with me while I show you what I get up to before an afternoon shift at work.
SAPOL aiming to boost the force by 200 officers from the UK, Ireland, Canada, New Zealand and interstate.
We're also paying for the permanent residency visas for the police officers we're recruiting, plus every member of their immediate family. That's probably the biggest incentive.
My son absolutely loves it. You know, what's not to love? We go home at night in the swimming pool with the children, a whole 30 degrees warmer than what it is in Scotland right now.
Graduates will officially begin their duties tomorrow, posted across metropolitan and regional areas, including Port Pirie and Whyalla.
It is a reality that we have a relatively junior workforce in frontline policing, so to be able to recruit experienced police officers really enhances that level of support.
Policing, the core values are the same everywhere.
34 more recruits are currently in training, set to graduate in May. Samantha Hogan, 9 News.
Hyundai has recalled almost 9,000 of its vehicles over a manufacturing defect that could lead to a fire. A notice issued today for iX35 models made 2012 and 2013. It was found that brake fluid may leak into the anti-lock braking system, which could lead to an electrical short circuit and subsequent fire. Vehicle owners are urged to contact their Hyundai dealer to have the defect fixed free of charge.
Well, the summer-like heat is showing no signs of letting up. Jessica Braithwaite is here.
And Jessica, if anything, it's looking even more stubborn.
Yeah, it really is, Kate. I've had a look at the forecast for the next week or so, and look, out of the next 7 days, there is only one day in Adelaide below 30 degrees. So really the warmth is remaining, and in terms of the rain or the lack of rain, we have basically not a drop of rain in sight. So yeah, it's a warm run, that's for sure. 34 degrees was our top today. Even now, it's still 32 degrees in the city. So guys, look, I've got not much variation on the forecast coming up for you, but I'll have all the details very soon.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica.
The gender pay gap is slowly narrowing.
But right now in Australia, it's not happening fast enough. Tonight, the new report card revealing just how much working women are missing out on.
Melania Trump takes her fight to Capitol Hill, why she's advocating for new deepfake laws.
And devastation for Dolly Parton, losing her husband after nearly 60 years of marriage.
9 News, brought to you by CommBank Safe, helping protect Aussies from scams and fraud.
Australian women earn nearly $30,000 less than men every year.
That's according to new data which shows there's been little improvement to the gender pay gap. Federal politics reporter Claudia Vidoljak explains.
Australia's gender pay gap is slowly narrowing, but not fast enough. According to the Workplace Gender Equality Agency's latest report card, women earn 21.8% less than men. On average, that's a difference of more than $28,000 a year, meaning for every dollar a man earns, women make about 78 cents. The largest gaps in male-dominated industries, including construction, finance and mining, while female-dominated sectors like health and social care have almost eliminated the gap. That's partly due to the federal government's wages boost and reforms to paid parental leave, which now includes superannuation, and the federal government has hinted at more to come.
You name it, we're in that space looking for ways to shift the dial and make sure women get the fair treatment and equality that they deserve.
As for how some of Australia's biggest companies are performing, Coles Group has a 55.3% wage gap, Qantas 39.2%, Telstra 13% and Woolworths not far behind at 10.7%. Nine Entertainment came in at 14.9%, while BHP and McDonald's have moved in the opposite direction.
There clearly is a gender pay gap and the way that it's measured is very clear and that's what we need to close. So we need to drive those compositional and pay differences.
While more than half of Australian employers have narrowed the gender pay gap, there's clearly still a long way to go.
2 people have been killed and another 11 injured after a car rammed into a crowd in Germany's south. It's the 3rd incident of its kind in recent months, with CCTV showing a vehicle driving down a pedestrian shopping area moments earlier. A 40-year-old German national is now in custody.
Firefighters in northern Japan are struggling to control a massive blaze that's torn through more than 5,000 acres of land. Thousands of people have been forced to leave their homes in what's being labelled the country's biggest forest fire in 30 years. US First Lady Melania Trump has spoken on Capitol Hill for the first time since her husband's re-election. She's taken part in a roundtable discussion of a bill which would make it a federal crime to publish or threaten to publish non-consensual intimate imagery.
The widespread presence of abusive behaviour in the digital domain affects the daily lives of our children.
The Take It Down Act would require social media companies to remove such content within 48 hours of notice from the victim. Dolly Parton's husband of almost 60 years has died, aged 82. Carl Dean, who avoided the spotlight for much of their marriage, inspired the singer's timeless hit Jolene. In a statement, Dolly Parton said, "Words can't do justice to the love we shared."
Australia's biggest supermarkets get a home brand overhaul.
Coming up in 9 News, the new and improved ranges coming to both Coles and Woolworths, set to save shoppers hundreds off their bills.
Plus, the alarming number of Aussie children predicted to be obese by 2050.
And Money editor Effie Zahos breaks down the latest RBA minutes that hint of a fresh blow for borrowers.
Obesity rates in Australian kids are set to skyrocket over the next 25 years if urgent action isn't taken, according to a new global study. Murdoch Children's Research Institute predicts half of children and young adults will be overweight or obese by 2050.
But we see really the next 5 years as critical. We're trying to bring visibility to what is a public health, a population health issue. The responses need to be global, they need to be across all of policy, they need to engage lots of different sectors.
The group most at risk will be young women, aged between 15 and 24 years old.
The cost of living has forced many families to turn to generic supermarket brands, and the grocery giants are taking note, launching a new generation of home brand products, and it's helping shoppers save hundreds at the checkout.
Home brands are getting a glow up. Fancy packaging, improved quality and hundreds of new products released each month.
We're really focusing on what customers are saying to us, and we're getting in the kitchen and designing exactly what they want.
With shoppers demanding lower prices, Coles and Woolies are expanding their home brand ranges, which now account for a third of all products on their shelves.
Consumers can save between 10 to 40%.
Experts say investing in their own brands is the only way for supermarkets to increase profits without putting up prices.
Coles and Woolies, they have lost about 5% each of their market share to Aldi.
And just like Aldi, they've also launched their own brand cleaning products, makeup and pharmaceuticals. Cashing in on the air fryer craze, Woolworths have just launched a new range of quick meals, from pizza parcels to curry puffs and kebabs. Flavoured iced teas have also hit the shelves, and a range of beans with no added salt.
We spend a lot of time trying to lower the salt and the sugar and really use natural ingredients to try and add that flavour.
Coles recently released more than 1,100 new products in their own brand range, which includes Coles Simply and Finest ranges.
We're so proud of our cacio e pepe gnocchi. It's our new finest frozen gnocchi from the freezer into your pan and cooked in 7 minutes.
New sweet treats are also on offer just in time for Easter, with a range of deluxe cakes including Black Forest and Red Velvet and Wagon Wheel flavoured hot crust buns.
That awesome biscuit you'd get with that marshmallow and the jam, we've turned that into a hot cross bun.
By making their own products, the big supermarkets have more control over production and distribution, which increases efficiency to reduce costs and improve profits. But it makes it difficult for smaller suppliers to compete, with many at risk of going out of business. And it's a tightly kept secret that many home brand products are made by suppliers of top brands, so you're getting a similar quality for about a third of the price.
The quality is really good. I don't have any problems with the quality. The stigma of buying black and gold, or that home brand, it's not the same anymore.
Michelle Tapper, 9 News.
Two of Australia's best tennis players, Yvonne Goolagong-Crawley and Ash Barty, have been immortalised as one-of-a-kind Barbie dolls. It comes ahead of International Women's Day this Sunday, with Barbie recognising the power of female friendships. The pair share a special bond, representing First Nations Australians in tennis.
Almost the same scale as you, Tommy.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
I'm being me. No.
The truth hurts.
Sport, we digress.
Can't go up any higher.
Exactly. Sport is up next. Now, Darcy Fogarty's in for a big year.
He is. He's coming off a career best season, Kate, but he thinks he can raise his game to an even higher level, which is exciting. And we're going to hear exclusively from the Crows star forward next, as the Crows look to remedy one of their big concerns from last year. Injuries galore, though. Interstate, the Magpies put a line through De Goey, while Adore has forced Jesse to the sidelines. Also, the final word from the skipper as the Aussies look to upset India. Hello again. The Crows are out to capitalise on a rare luxury when they open the new season, with an almost clean bill of health heading into round one. Now, despite the added advantage, they're adamant they won't fall victim to the same mistakes as last season.
As a season with infinite possibilities draws ever closer, there's still just one message coming out of West Lakes.
We're really focused on the first week this year, and yeah, in a couple of weeks is probably the most important. There's no point looking too far ahead.
A painful lesson learned last season when a fixation on finals saw the Crows lose sight of their immediate focus, losing their first 4 games. The silver lining, a golden opportunity to make amends over the next month.
We're expecting a really tough first 4 weeks with how the competition went last year. You can never really count anyone out, and yeah, we don't know what teams have been working on through the pre-season, so you don't really know who's going well and who's not yet. So we're going to go into each game expecting a really tough hit out.
But as injuries have decimated many of their rivals, Adelaide has arguably the healthiest list in the league. Chase Jones, the only player unavailable to face the Saints, and Mark Keane 50-50 with a hip niggle, while the likes of Walker, Michaelani, Rochelle and Millerer are all expected to be available.
Probably one of the more balanced groups, and there's definitely a lot of talent. I reckon the club's in a really healthy spot. I reckon, yeah, like I said, we've got a really good balance, and yeah, hopefully it's an exciting year.
It certainly will be if Fogarty has his say, vowing to build on a career-best season, but one which may have only just scratched the surface of his potential.
There were definitely some games last year where, yeah, I didn't have the impact that I would have liked, so sort of weaning them out of the year and sort of being a bit more of a consistent player is probably the main goal.
It's one his newest teammate is helping him achieve, Alex Neil-Bullen already making an immediate impact.
The way he builds blokes up and builds organisations up, it's really authentic, and yeah, like I said, it's really refreshing to sort of hear him talk and his sort of outlook on life and how footy clubs should be run.
Will Crouch, 9 News.
Well, the AFL has postponed Thursday night's season opener at the Gabba and Saturday's clash on the Gold Coast as tropical cyclone Alfred looms. Geelong had braced themselves for any situation, today keeping one of their biggest stars away from prying eyes.
An almost full complement of Cats, but no Bailey Smith. The gun recruit instead training indoors away from prying eyes.
Bailey's absolutely ready to go. He's going to have an impact for us. One way or another, it's going to be good fun.
The Geelong coach looks ready and raring for his 15th year in charge, and there'll be some tweaks. Sam de Koning among them, who'll play primarily in the ruck.
He's stronger, he's in a lot of ways much more physically prepared than he has been for previous seasons.
But always one with an eye to the future, the prospect of snaring Matt Rowell still looms large, although it's clear this could become a game of cat and mouse as the season drags on.
Is he one of the best under-23 midfielders in the comp? Yeah, I'd have him in that group.
The Lions have a flag to defend, and Chris Fagan is adopting a well-worn mantra heading into the season proper.
You can't look back in this game. Everybody's trying to get better.
While he admits they'll double down on most aspects of their game, he's hell-bent on getting a flying start after playing catch-up last season at 0-3.
To be honest with you, I can never quite put my finger on why you start well in a season or why you don't.
The Pies will be without Jordan De Goey on Sunday, ruled out with knee bruising, but a sore Braden Maynard will play. A double blow for the Giants. Jesse Hogan has broken his thumb, apparently after jamming it in a door. He'll be out until at least round 2. They're also bracing for life without Jake Stringer. A dodgy hammy means he'll miss Sunday's battle with Collingwood and likely the round 1 clash with Melbourne too. Clint Stanaway.
Well, a concession from the Aussie skipper ahead of tonight's Champions Trophy semi-final, with Steve Smith admitting India has a big advantage. Based in Dubai all tournament, the Indians have played all 3 of their matches at the same ground.
India obviously played all their games here, so they've seen what the surface is doing, and India have obviously played really well in their games as well. So it's going to be a good contest. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, bring it on. South Africa and New Zealand face off in the second semi-final. That'll be played tomorrow night. Well, as the Thunderbirds look to make history again, it's clear continuity is key, with the club retaining its 5-person leadership group. The likes of Matilda Garrett, Georgie Horges, Taylor Williams and Shamira Sterling again enlisted to assist the captain, Hannah Petty.
I'm super humble and super honoured to be captain again. I love this club with all my heart, and I cannot wait for round 1 to get out there and show them what we've got. But yeah, it means the world to be named captain, and yeah, let's see if we can go 3-peat this year.
Wouldn't that be great? If they do, they'll become the first ever team to make it 3 straight titles. We've got the netball, SA cricket on the weekend, the one days, maybe the Shield. Hopefully the Crows will port. Things are looking great for SA teams. Loving it.
Thanks so much, Brenton. See you tomorrow. Take a look at finance now. In the minutes of last month's Reserve Bank meeting revealed another rate cut could be some time away as our local market suffered jitters from ongoing tariff talk in the United States. Nine's Money editor Effie Zahos explains.
Today we got an inside look into the Reserve Bank's thinking when it decided to cut rates last month. They make it clear it was a line ball call, and they're still worried inflation's not all the way back in the bottle. New retail trade figures showing we're spending again, especially on cafes, restaurants and takeaway, which won't help those wanting another quick cut. And our market went backwards across the board, but it could have been worse. Energy stocks suffered after OPEC announced it would boost supply, sending the oil price lower. But the Lottery Corporation was up. Maybe investors thought they were best off buying a lotto ticket. Aussie dollar down against all major currencies.
Thank you, Effie. Well, slightly milder the next couple of days. Jessica has the weather for us next.
For now, take it over to tomorrow's speed cameras.
Wake up and laugh with Adelaide's #1 breakfast show.
Rudits and Loz tomorrow on 104.7 Triple M.
For the latest Adelaide news and traffic.
Well, hello there. I can confirm that I have absolutely no breaking news for you on the weather front. Basically, nothing has changed. It's still hot, it's still dry, and it still hasn't rained. That forecast just is such a long period of hot, dry weather that we have been seeing in Adelaide, and today was no exception, with our top of 34 degrees. Right now, still warm. It's still sitting above 30 degrees in the city at the moment. So around the suburbs today, we rolled out another day of blue skies. It was a warm one through the northern suburbs, up to 36 degrees at Elizabeth and Mawson Lakes. Mount Lofty a touch softer with 31 degrees there. Now, through the north, just ignore the blue blobs on the map here. That's just interference on the radar. It definitely did not rain through the north of the state today. 36 degrees the top at Port Pirie and 34 for Clare. Same down south. Ignore the radar there. That's just interference. So we had 35 degrees at Renmark and 33 degrees at Mount Gambier. On the charts, well, look, everyone's talking about Cyclone Alfred headed towards Queensland in around Brizzy and the Gold Coast. That is a really one to watch over the next few days as that gets close to 4 million people in the line of the cyclone there. For us, it's just really stock standard, straightforward weather. We're in between 2 high pressure systems, a bit of wind coming up the coast there as they swap over, but really it's stable conditions for the most part for South Australia for the next few days, that's for sure. So you can see the rain coming in, starting already around the east coast, but as we move further south, it's looking really clear. Canberra sunny tomorrow, Melbourne sunny as well with 32 degrees, and Hobart going for 26. Look, a little windy by the coast tomorrow around SA, just with that sort of, not even a change really, but just a shift in wind direction there coming through. Still hot and dry, 35 in store for Port Pirie. We've got 38 for Renmark, 29 clear skies for Murray Bridge, and 32 degrees the top for Narracourt. We do have a whole bunch of marine wind warnings in place there, just with those southerlies coming through. A south-southeasterlies for Adelaide to around 25 knots. So another day of sun around Adelaide tomorrow, 32 for Golden Grove, 31 for Outer Harbour. In the city we are also expecting that top of 31 degrees, and after that we have a whole 7 days on the forecast there, only one day dipping below 30 degrees. That's Thursday with 28. But apart from that, it's hot and sunny right the way through.
At least we know what to expect.
That's true.
Thanks so much, Jessica. And that is the day's news here on 9. Thanks so much for joining us.
If you missed our bulletin, don't forget you can start over on 9 now. In the meantime, here's a current affair. Enjoy your evening.
Good night.